you can count on us. This is 7 News Good Morning Fort Sill.
Good morning and thanks for waking up with us. We've got plenty of local and national military news on tap for you today. But first, let's take a look at what we can expect from the weather. Ulysses, a much drier start than we saw yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, Kyle. Definitely much calmer out there. If anything, just a few clouds rolling through across Texoma. It looks like there were a couple showers over to the Texas Panhandle, but most of that fizzled out. But really, definitely a 180 from where we were this time yesterday. So that's some excellent news here. We're kind of just entering a drier pattern here as we make our way through the next couple of days. Our high temperature yesterday, 93 degrees. Our pretty much 99 degrees is our normal temperature, 64 degrees for the low. So definitely a very cool start yesterday, all thanks to that rain and storms across the area. We only got 0.05 when it comes to rainfall for yesterday, 0.56 for the month of July. So we're already doing much better than we were, say, in the month or for the month of August compared to where we were in the month of July. Our Chickasha Chamber of Commerce tower camera dealing with partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Your morning PT forecast, 71 degrees right now, calm winds. As we make our way through the next couple of hours, we'll dip down briefly into the upper 60s before we start warming things up into the 70s later on this morning. We'll talk more about the heat and this dry weather coming, how long it will stick around. We'll break it all down in just a bit.
This could be a pivotal week in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The White House's special envoy is traveling to Moscow tomorrow. The trip comes just days ahead of President Trump's deadline for Vladimir Putin to make peace with Ukraine or face new sanctions from the U.S. The president is also threatening secondary punishments on countries that buy Russian energy, including India and China. The Kremlin is also responding to a recent order from President Trump to reposition 2 U.S. nuclear submarines. Russian and Chinese warships were spotted off the coast of Alaska in a show of force.
A threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people.
Top officials of leading NATO countries are indulging in aggressive statements directed at our country. Therefore, I order the Minister of Defense and Chief of the General Staff to put Russia's army deterrence forces on high combat alert.
Despite recent military action in Ukraine, the Kremlin says they're keen to negotiate with the U.S. International outrage continues to grow after Hamas released video showing the state of their hostages. Video shows one hostage who hasn't eaten in days, who says there's barely enough water for captives. The newly released videos of emaciated hostages held captive since October 7th of 2023 are provoking outrage amid calls for negotiations with Hamas to resume. Families are begging the two sides to end the conflict in the region.
If they want the people of Gaza to starve, they'll do it. And they are the ones to blame, and we cannot blame only Israel for that. Hamas is holding all of us hostages right now. All of us, the people of Gaza as well. And they need to be out of the picture.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is convening his cabinet today to discuss military operations. Netanyahu has indicated his support for a full military takeover of the Strip. That's according to Israeli social media. Well, Boeing is dealing with another strike after 3,200 workers walked off the job in St. Louis this week. Workers at the plants built military aircraft, including F-15 fighter jets. The hourly workers are demanding better wages and better work schedules. This is the second strike in less than a year for Boeing. The airplane maker has had 6 years of serious financial losses and setbacks to many areas of its businesses, including the defense and space unit affected by this strike. Boeing officials believe the company can withstand the financial strain of the protests.
Our membership spoke loud and clear today that they're not happy with Boeing's latest proposal. Their last best and final offer didn't meet the membership's expectations, and we're here to do our best to get our membership a contract that they can be happy with and ratify.
Fort Sill will be hosting their monthly Sill Facts Town Hall meeting at the Patriot Club this morning. The meeting, which is held on the first Tuesday of every month, begins at 11 a.m. today. Topics include community issues, needs, and problems. Sill Facts is open to the public to attend, but you may need a pass to get on base. We'll have a full recap for you tomorrow on Good Morning Fort Sill. And it's peak PCS season, and Fort Sill is offering tips for families to reduce headaches for themselves and for movers while they change stations. Families should designate a space in your home as a do not pack zone where you store things such as orders, passports, uniforms, and other items. You should also take photos of high value items before movers arrive, such as electronics, furniture, and other fragile items, including their serial numbers. That will make things easier if you need to file a damage or loss claim when you get to your new station. Officials say you should also separate unpackable items such as cleaning supplies and any other hazardous materials to dispose of before you move. Also make sure to organize, clean, and label your home to help movers pack more efficiently. Altus Air Force Base's Office of Special Investigations is an integral part of keeping airmen and their families safe here in southwest Oklahoma. Their responsibilities span from criminal investigations to counterintelligence. They cover cases across Altus Air Force Base, southwestern Oklahoma, and even parts of Texas. And some of the cases that come across their desks include homicide, sexual assault, and other serious offenses committed internally in the Air Force. Altus works alongside the 9th Security Forces Squadron and other agencies such as the FBI. In other local military news, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford is praising an appropriations bill passed by the Senate for military projects and the VA. According to his website, there's more than $230 million in direct investments. It will provide improvements to Oklahoma's military installations and the VA. Some of the improvements coming are a new facility to safely decommission munitions, new child development center at Tinker Air Force Base, expansion of public-private partnerships at the VA, and strengthening community care access and transparency at the VA. Senator Lankford says in part, quote, from critical infrastructure at McAllister and Tinker to modernizing the way the VA serves veterans, this bill delivers real, tangible results. The Comanche County Veterans Council is honoring a burial request for an unclaimed veteran on Thursday. The burial is recognizing Howard R. Mikowski, who served in the U.S. Navy during the war in Vietnam. The assistant director of the Fort Sill National Cemetery says the service is open to the community, so this veteran will not be laid to rest alone. Now, if you're able to attend, the burial will begin at 11 o'clock Thursday morning at Shelter 2. The Oklahoma Air National Guard welcomed their new commander this month. Colonel Bradley Ruttman assumed command of the 138th Fighter Wing in Tulsa. Commissioned through Air Force Officer Training School in 1999, Ruttman transitioned from active duty to the Oklahoma Air National Guard in 2003 and has since deployed to Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Japan. Ruttman has more than 100 combat sorties and over 500 hours of combat time aboard the F-16 Fighting Falcon. 138th Fighter Wing says they look forward to Colonel Ruttman's leadership in advancing readiness and lethality across the wing. The Guard also welcomed 2 new officers into their ranks at the Reserve Center in Norman. Captain Derek Teague and Captain George Bowseden earned their commissions as Cyber Corps officers through the U.S. Army Talent Innovation Division. This division is designed to identify and bring in highly skilled civilian information technology professionals to strengthen the Army's cyber capabilities. The 2 officers bring a combined 27 years of IT experience to their new roles in the Guard. The National Guard stands ready to reinforce active duty troops during wartime, and on this day in military history, we take a look back to when they were called to serve in the Great War. Good morning, Fort Sill. We'll be right back.
Every evening, 7 News, uncovering breaking stories that impact Texoma. 7 News, working for you every night at 10. The KSWO 7 News app. Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
Welcome back, everyone, and checking out the view right now. Overall, things are quiet, just a few passing clouds rolling through our Jackson County Memorial Hospital tower cam in Altus, and Really overall, though, like I mentioned earlier, it's really quite a different tale than where we were just 24 hours ago or even 48 hours ago with the showers and storms that we had both Sunday and Monday morning. So temperatures right now, though, 71 degrees in Lawton, 72 in Hobart, 72 degrees Frederick, all the way to Paducah, 74 Monday, 77 in Waurika, 72 in Duncan. Looking at those temperatures change from this time yesterday to now, 5 degrees warmer in Duncan and also here in Lawton, 7 in Elk City, no change in Altus and in Wichita Falls. We are starting to see more of that influence of our upper level high over parts of the southwest. That's going to be our playmaker here, at least through the middle portion and latter portion of this week. It will eventually start retreating a little bit by the end of the weekend as a frontal system begins to come in from the north, and that will start enhancing some rain chances. But for the most part, we're going to be relatively dry here as we go through the next couple of days. Some models are trying to hit maybe at best a 10% chance of a shower for tomorrow and Thursday, but I do think for the most part, even that 10% chance, more than likely it's going to be a 5% chance or even a 0. I really think a better chance of showers are going to be more so as you head towards the end of the weekend. Looking at your winds, picking up a little bit more this afternoon, southeast 10 to 15, temperatures making their way to the mid 90s, and over the next 7 days, notice those temperatures triple digits, breezy Wednesday through Saturday.
Fort Sill Directorate of Emergency Services as well as the USO are inviting you out to the National Night Out tonight. Events get underway at 5 p.m. They'll last until 7:30 at the USO building on Fort Sill. You'll get a chance to meet your local police, firefighters, and EMS. There will be plenty of emergency vehicles and equipment on display, as well as music, games, and family-friendly activities. For more information, you can contact the USO. And does the work week already got you down? Need a break from all the stress? Well, Nye Library on Fort Sill has got you covered. This afternoon, they're hosting a color and chill event for all ages. There'll be the coloring session will be from 2:30 until 4:30 this afternoon. Coloring sheets as well as markers and colored pencils will be provided, but you're encouraged to bring your own stuff to doodle on as well. And Nye Library is also hosting a family edition of their Escape Room series. This week's theme is Camping Catastrophe. There will be 2 adventures today, one at 10:30 and one at 2:30. Spots are limited, though. You can call the library at the number on your screen to book your adventure. And Fort Sill is hosting a back-to-school bash on Friday. That event will be held at the Youth Center from 6 until 7:30. There will be a free school supply giveaway while supplies last, along with other giveaways and plenty of activities for the kids. Representatives from Cameron, Columbia College, and other schools will be on site to talk about higher education. The event is open to DoD cardholders only. There is a limit of 2 backpacks per cardholder if children are not present. This day in military history, on August 5th, 1917, the entire National Guard was drafted into the U.S. Army for World War I. As a result, nearly 380,000 members of the National Guard were drafted into federal service, more than doubling the size of the Army at the time. This act stands among a series of laws and military decisions in the early 20th century that resulted in the transformation of the National Guard from a traditionally local military organization into a professional military force. The Guard went on to play a key role for the Allied forces in the war to end all wars. Still to come, the Air Force is conducting a service-wide inspection on the M18 handgun. Coming up, what prompted a deeper look into the safety of the service weapon. Over 950 customers are without power this morning.
I'm here with the commanding general of the Fire Center of Excellence.
Here's some thunder on my way in to work this morning.
We should start to clear out as we head towards the rest of the day.
Keeping you updated as you get ready for your day.
7 News Good Morning Texoma, 5 to 7 a.m.
U.S. senators have confirmed multiple senior military leadership positions, including the new top uniformed leader of the Navy, Admiral Daryl Cottle, who has served as the commander of the U.S. Fleet Forces Command since 2021, is the next chief of naval operations. His approval ends a nearly 6-month vacancy in that role. The Trump administration dismissed previous CNO Admiral Lisa Franchetti without a stated reason earlier this year. Admiral Cottle takes over the position from Admiral James Kilby who had been filling in as CNO. Lawmakers in Washington are working to boost the U.S. Coast Guard. Last month, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Coast Guard Authorization Act, which would establish a Secretary of the Coast Guard. Congressman Mike Ezell, one of the authors of the bill, says it would strengthen maritime security and safeguard the U.S.'s borders.
They have been behind on their funding for many, many years. And with this Secretary of the Coast Guard, it's going to allow a good person to get this job so that they can have direct contact with the White House and with the Joint Chiefs of Staff so that they can, advocate for the Coast Guard so they can have better recruiting, they can make better pay, they can have better equipment. And that's exactly what this thing's going to do. It's going to provide for the safety of this country.
The Coast Guard Authorization Act is now being considered in the Senate. The Air Force is conducting a service-wide inspection of the M18 handgun. This comes after a security forces airman at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming was killed last month by a firearm discharge. Use of the 9mm 6-hour M18 handguns were immediately halted by the Air Force's Global Strike Command. 6 Hour released a statement saying, quote, "Our hearts are with the service members and families," and expressed confidence in the Air Force to investigate the matter. 6 Hour has faced numerous allegations and lawsuits in recent years that its P320 based M17 and M18 pistols can discharge without pulling the trigger. The company says the problem is not a safety issue, but rather user error.
There's been too many of them to just write it off as user error. That's a lot of user errors. It's an interesting situation because nobody can prove what's really happening. SIG is a good brand. I wouldn't say they aren't. That said, SIG better fix this really fast because sooner or later the wrong person is going to get hurt, kind of like what we saw now.
All branches of the military use the 6-hour M17 and M18 handguns. Well, yesterday was the 235th birthday of the U.S. Coast Guard, and in Mobile, Alabama, the Guard honored the lives of those who lost their lives in the line of duty with a wreath-laying ceremony. Mobile is one of 37 communities across the country designated by Congress as Coast Guard cities. The Coast Guard City program was established by the United States Congress in 1998 to recognize cities where military assets of the U.S. Coast Guard are located and in which demonstrates support to Coast Guard personnel stationed there.
Moultrie native Willie Bell Irvin Partridge was one of the 855 black women to be part of the 6th Battalion. During World War II, morale was low, so the U.S. Army created the 6th to clear a massive backlog of mail to ensure letters and packages made their way to the American soldiers on the front lines.
She was handpicked after basic training to become one of the 6th Battalion, so they picked the creme de la creme.
Brenda Partridge Brown says it wasn't until 2016, years after her passing, that she found out her mother was part of a remarkable group of women.
She talked about her time in the service. She never called her unit by name, so this is why I never knew that she was an actual 6th member. But she always bragged about how well they dressed, how well they marched, and just as an overall group. So I knew that it was something special.
Brenda Partridge Brown decided to write a book detailing her mother's life before, during, and after service. After 4 years of research and writing, her book, Echoes of a Little Brown Soldier Girl, has been released.
Over the moon. I'm in awe. I am just blown away with the information and the things I've learned. I never knew as a child that I was being raised by a true history maker.
Currently, there's a national petition set up urging the United States Postal Service to create a forever stamp honoring the 6th Central Postal Directory Battalion. One general predicted it would take 6 months to process the massive backlog of undelivered mail, yet the 6th managed to do it in just 3. It only makes sense that the first ever all-black, all-female battalion is stamped in history.
It would mean the world to me. I have to speak for me because I've been chasing my mother's dream for so long. This is awesome. It would mean the world to me because a piece of her and her battalion, her sisters in arms, would be left behind forever.
Here's your first alert forecast with meteorologist Ulysses Garcia.
overall, checking out the view here in our Duncan Regional Hospital tower cam, and overall things are rather tranquil here on this Tuesday morning. Checking out your visibilities, a little bit reduced over towards Duncan and Chickasha at 7, Lawton here at 9. So there might be a very slim chance we may have a little bit of mist or maybe just a little bit of a light fog trying to develop here during the late overnight hours into the early morning hours. But I think for the most part, though, it's going to be relatively minor across the board. Looking at your future track here as we make our way throughout the day, lots of sunshine, mostly sunny to sunny skies, clear skies as we go into tonight. By the time we make our way into your Wednesday and even into your Thursday, lots of sunshine once again. Some models are trying to hit maybe a 10% chance of a shower. I do think, if anything, it maybe it's still possible, but I do think really for the most part, I think these are going to be relatively dry days across the board. Looking at your PT forecast, 71 degrees, wind speed at 5 miles an hour, 5 degrees warmer from this time yesterday to now. And looking at your PT forecast a little more closely over the next couple of hours, we'll be in those upper 60s here all the way until 7 a.m., warming things up into the 70s after sunrise around 8, 9, and 10 a.m. 95 degrees for this afternoon, few clouds and warmer, south to southeast wind at 5 to 15. By tonight, we'll drop down to right around 70 degrees. And as we look ahead here at your 7-day forecast here, we're going to see those temperatures making their way towards the century mark. Also a string of breezy days ahead. And then we'll start introducing some 10% chances of showers the weekend going into early next week.
The triple digits are back. Probably not a good sign for the soldiers that are out there doing PT the next few days.
Yeah, unfortunately not. I mean, and there's also the fact that with a little bit of the humidity, we'll see those feels like temperatures well above 100.
Yeah, I did notice that the humidity returned a little bit today.
Yep.
Well, thanks for watching. Good morning, Fort Sill.